Well, hello there, everybody. This is the fourth podcast of this week. Eurovision was on last night. Results, because we were a bit surprised by the results, which we'll go into. So in today's discussion, we're basically going to discuss the whole sort of Eurovision results and take it from there, really. So, Andre, what did you think?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm here as well. I never thought, I honestly don't know if I ever thought I would ever say Portugal is our Eurovision champion. It just seemed like it was never going to happen. But I'm glad they won. It was a beautiful song, performed amazingly. And I think something that's also worth being noted is it was done without a single word in English. And these are two people that speak English very well because they spent part of their middle and high school years in the U.S. So they're completely fluent and great in English. But they did it completely in Portuguese, which is fantastic, I think. It's only our third non-English winner since 1998 when the televote became a thing, the televoting era of Eurovision, and our first completely non-English song since 2007. So I think that's worth noting. That's my biggest takeaway and biggest happiest point from that for me. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Portugal. I mean, they've been waiting over 50 years since they first started in Eurovision to actually get a victory. I think it was well deserved. Like I said earlier in the week, when I watched his performance in the semi-final, I was brought to tears. And the same thing happened when I watched it last night. I think there's just something in the musicality of the song, not so much the lyrics, but the musicality itself. It brings so many emotions to the forefront. And when there was like people cheering all around him on the satellite stage, it was just so lovely to see. And I'm just so glad that he won.
Yeah. I think we can expect to see a lot more national languages next year. Because we think about it, Hungary and Italy were both also no English at all, and they were both top 10 as well. France was half English, half French. That ended up in the 12th position. Belarus qualified for the first time since 2014 and finished mid-table with a song completely in Belarusian. The only non-English song that really sunk it up was Spain, and that's because Spain had a terrible song.
Well, I think to be honest with you, it's really good that songs that are not in English are doing well, and I think it's good for the future of the contest as well.
Yes.
Cool. So here is the grand final results, all of the scoreboard after last night. And as you can see, Portugal have set a brand new record. They've got 758 points. And then, yeah, Bulgaria second, Moldova third. What did you think of the entire, Andre?
I think it's, I started noticing this as they were going through the televoting points. All the points this year seem to be really clumped up. So all the top go-getters got all the points, and everyone else just got a couple of scraps. I feel like last year it was the point distribution. The last few years, I would say the point distribution was a bit more spread. Whereas this one, it seems that Portugal and Bulgaria really sucked up a lot of those from both juries and televoting. And then a lot of the rest of the songs that cracked 3 digits sucked up points from either the juries or the televote, while not getting much from the other side. Like Australia only got 5 or something ridiculously low. 2. They got
points.
2 points from the televote. If they still finish in the top 10 because the jury gave them 171. So yeah, it's just all the points seem to be super concentrated this year. What do you think?
The thing is as well, because I was thinking initially, like last night, I was thinking the reason why that's happened, why the points distribution has been so like not as spread out this year, is because Portugal has soaked up all of the points. But actually, when you think about it logically, that doesn't make any sense, because even if Portugal got 12 points from every single country participating, where are all the other points being put? And I think it shows that essentially this year, the Europe had 10 favourites pretty much, and they all sailed up in the high in the points, and all the others kind of just, you know, was by the wayside really. So yeah, I guess Europe must have thought, do you know what, there's a lot of not as good songs this year, so we're going to be voting for these top 10 or the, you know, these particular songs, and they obviously got all of the points over the others.
Pretty much, yeah. It just sucks them all up. It's just, yeah, it's kind of crazy. One thing I forgot to make a slide for, but I do want to make sure we discuss and touch on, is Israel, and what their longtime spokesman said, to the surprise of everyone last night, about how the Israeli Broadcasting Authority, IBA, is apparently shutting down. And they have been the sponsoring broadcaster for Israel's entry since they debuted in 71, 72, something around that time. And, you know, that includes 3 victories, 78, 79, and 98. And so, yeah, it would be interesting to see if, I think, Danny said there was a new broadcaster that was coming and rising out of the ashes in Israel.
Yeah, there's meant to be a channel called Khan, K-A-N, which is starting, and I believe that's going to be up and running from tomorrow. I think there's been another statement that's come out since, and the EBU is basically saying what the guy and the spokesperson was saying yesterday is not that Israel are saying goodbye forever, it's that broadcaster is saying goodbye because they've been broadcasting it for so long. There was initial disputes between whether Khan would be able to join the EBU, because the EBU has a lot of different policies that a channel would need to adhere to. And to begin with, it looked like Israel the new channel wasn't going to adhere to these, but I think they've since resolved those issues. And I think we'll probably still be seeing Israel next year as well.
Okay, then. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. But we'll talk more about the future of the contest in a bit. This slide you've got up, Andre, is the split results from last night. So what did you make of the split results? I mean, did you think there was any surprises in there?
Yes. Well, we kind of already talked about Australia and why, and just how disparate that difference was. I think one of my biggest shocks from last night was how poorly Armenia did. Because I thought that song would have performed a lot higher than it did. Same thing with Azerbaijan. I thought both of them would have performed better. And I'm just shocked that Moldova finished third. I assumed it's going to get a decent amount from the televoting. I didn't think that the jury was going to rank it ninth or eighth in the rankings, which is just wow. Highest placing ever for Portugal, Bulgaria, and Moldova, by the way. So that's worth noting as well.
I think for me, the jury's voting Moldova and Norway.
Dan?
I think I muted you for some reason there. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now, Andre? Sorry.
I can hear you just fine.
I think I was talking away. My microphone was muted. Sorry. I've forgotten what I was saying now. Oh, yes. I think for the likes of Moldova and Norway doing well with the juries as opposed to like the televotes, is because the juries are told to vote on songs they think they could see in a sort of commercial way, like the songs that would be able to do well outside of Eurovision. And I think that's how they did really well, because those two songs in particular I can see as being big chart hits, big summer dance hit songs. So that's why I think the juries have pushed them up.
And a quick note, the EBU officially does not give the juries any direction with how they're supposed to vote. It is just well assumed that the juries vote based off of potential for commercial success and quality of vocal performance. But continue on.
I thought they did. I thought there was set criteria that they had to, not idea to, but they're sort of given as a, like you say, like there's a...
I look up the rules every year, and every year the rules say the same thing. There are set ways for how they're supposed to rank and put the rankings together, but there is, they are not explicitly given any direction for how they're supposed to vote.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's how I think Norway and Moldova have done well this year in the jury rankings.
Cool. It's funny because on Friday, we're talking about how athletic performances, how athletic songs don't do so well with the juries, and you see that again happen this year to Croatia. The juries just kind of eased it. It's the televoting that saved it both in the semifinal and in the final. So I thought that was an interesting thing to note.
Yeah, we did think that the operatic songs wouldn't do so well with the juries, and yeah, it's been proved right again this year. What was surprising to me, though, I say it's surprising, I don't know, it probably isn't surprising to many people, but Ukraine doing so badly this year, because I kind of thought it's the only rock song in the contest. Ukraine normally get, I'm not talking about the juries, I'm talking more like televotes. Ukraine tends to get a lot of ex-Soviet countries voting for them. They're also the host country, and yet they only got a total of 24 points overall in the televote. I thought that was very strange. Yeah. And also Armenia, that can apply to as well. 21 points in the televote.
Yeah, I think without Russia there, I was expecting Ukraine and Belarus and like either Armenia or Azerbaijan to really suck up a lot of those post-Soviet points. But what happened is a lot of them ended up going to Portugal and Bulgaria instead, which is just really interesting. So remember, so this is the third time. So not counting Markus Shadushka, who is, even though it's played by a man, the character, the drag queen, is still considered a woman. So every time a man has been sent from Ukraine, the country always does terribly. It happened when they beat in 2003. They got like 22nd or 23rd place. It happened when they hosted in 2005. They got about the same position. Or I think they got around 18th or 20th. They hosted in 2005. And now they sent men again and got third from last. So I don't know what it is, but apparently Ukrainian men just can't hoist the flag. Plus, that giant head was just creepy. So
I think it's safe to say then that Ukraine will probably send another solo female next year.
With a big voice.
Oh yes. So anyway, other results in there that you think are a bit surprising?
I'm happy France did really well with the televote. I'm a little surprised the jury's going to rate France higher. I'm just going to chalk it up to maybe not a great performance on Friday. But I think as of late, the French have gotten a bit hope, like they started losing hope around Eurovision. And I think last year's top 10 finish kind of helped them. And in fact, they were able to kind of not completely drop this year and stay like finish it. 12 is a respectable finish. And so I think it's great that they are making songs that have a better appeal to the public. Because I think jury votes will count.
Yeah, I think they're going for a lot more of a modern commercial sound, which is working for them. I didn't have France as being sort of up there as being top 10 finish really for them, but I'm really happy that they have done it because it kind of maybe inspire more next year to do the same. Like I'm thinking the likes of Spain could do something a lot more current. I mean, Do It For Your Lover, yeah, you do hear it, a similar thing on the radio, but I'm thinking a lot more, a bit more sort of up to date rather than the sort of Californian, we've seen it a million times before kind of song, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not just the fact that it's like this generic California song, but it was a poorly done California song. It was lazily written. His performance wasn't there. I mean,
it was awful singing yesterday.
But yeah, his voice cracked during this song, and his song doesn't have that much like vocal performance to it. So yeah, that is an issue. Let's analyze why saying that last. But also, it's just, I don't think it was staged as well as it could have been either. I mean, you have a song that's about the beach, and so it's cool to see like the background have a surfboard and like the setting sun and palm trees. But I mean, it's Spain. They have the money to get like a tray or stand to put on there, and they literally could have been at the beach having this song like, or maybe like around like a fire, having like a little camp-out fire. And he's like playing this on his guitar around like a little campfire and everyone singing along with him. Like, make it, they could have done so much more with it to really talk about, really take us to California, take us to that beach, that the song, that the music is trying to put you in the mind of, and they didn't. And so I think Spain deserves that last place wholeheartedly. It's just crazy to think of the winner coming from Portugal and last place coming from Spain. So it's on the Iberian Peninsula.
But the thing is, it does show is that you can actually do well if you send a really good song. So Spain shouldn't be too disheartened because they're neighbours of this year. One thing I wanted to just quickly mention with Spain as well, I actually thought at one point they were going to get nil points from both the jury and the televote. Yeah. I was thinking, oh no. And I have to just quickly mention as well, Austria getting a 0 points in the televote is so devastating to hear when they're doing the televote reveal, like 0 points too. And you're just like, oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah. It's rough to see any country get 0 points.
The same thing happened to Czech Republic last year as well.
The Czech Republic last year had an amazing song with an amazing performance.
They did, but they had a really bad draw, though, I think.
Yeah, that is true. Second position, if your song's not fire, then it's gonna struggle. Like Poland did really well, even though they're in the second position in the televote. Poland ended up 12th, so there's a jury that kind of tanked it. Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, and I feel like we're seeing a lot more 0 points lately. This year, last year, 2015. It just seems like the taste of Europe and such are getting a bit more extreme. So
yeah. Do you think it's good then that we do have juries in the, voting? Because if this was all purely televote, like those results this year, I think would be quite shocking for other countries.
I think it wouldn't matter. I think it's good that we have both, because I think they both mellow out the other. I think we had
balances it out.
one, then I think, I mean, you can look at the jury points, they're just as skewed as the televotes are. So I'm glad we have both. I think part of the issue is that the entries seem to be skewing towards a middle, and then you have okay, there's 5 basic types of songs this year. Which country is best in each of those 5 genres, and those are the ones that do well, and then everyone else kind of fights for pennies. Whereas years we have a bit more diversity, you'll see more points spread out because then people actually have to really think, you're like, ooh, I like this song, I like that song's so different. So I'm hoping that with a national language song that is pure musicality, like Portugal's was, it drives us back to a year with more diversity. With that said, if we think back to, 2007, we had a similar situation where a song in a national language that was a really strong ballad, that's really musical one, and then 2008 was just endless ballad after endless ballad after endless ballad. And I don't think anyone wants that again. As much as I love ballads, we do need a mix. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Cool then. So, moving on. Next year, we will... Oh, this is semi-finals. Sorry. I forgot to mention semi-finals.
You're so excited for Lisbon.
So, any surprises in the semi-final results?
I did not expect San Marino to qualify. I did expect San Marino to get more than 1 point. That's just unnecessarily awful. Like, really?
The juries gave it nothing at all.
They
didn't see anything in that song that was good.
Which is a shame, because, I mean, it's a fun disco song. Yes, it's a bit dated, but it wasn't that bad. I think Macedonia got what they deserved, which sounds really mean, but like they had a really strong song this year that was really popular, and then the artist, she just couldn't really pull it off live. I don't know what it was, but she just couldn't do it. So that's semifinal 2. Semifinal 1. I can't say I'm overly surprised by these results. I think the most surprising thing in semifinal 1 is that the jury didn't like Slovenia more than they did. That's probably the only thing that really shocked me.
I think the thing that shocked me more with semi-final 1 was the fact that Latvia were performing last. Like, you think, because normally if you perform last, I mean, yeah, there's been occasions where countries wouldn't get through from that position, but it does give them a bit of a head start in terms of at least a televote result. But they came second to last in that, and it's just like, and also they only got 1 point from the jury. And I just kind of think that's really shocking for Latvia. And I actually really enjoyed that song personally.
It's a great song.
It's very surprising to see. But Czech Republic, with juries, came top 10, they came last overall by the televote. So I'm hoping that will inspire them to come back again next year.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a weaker version of last year's song. Like, it's a pretty song about thanking someone that inspired you. Except this time it was a bit less dynamic, and it was staged poorly because they gave her like a piece of copper to wear as opposed to clothes. So it's gonna be interesting to see who wins Rubber Decks this year.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Other surprises? Shocks?
Sorry, what?
Other things of interest or note?
Well, yeah, I'd say going back to semi-final 2 is the fact that Malta got 0 points, and also the fact that Denmark only got 5 points from a televote, and that's actually quite a good song as well. And they only qualified because of the power of the juries, which I thought was quite shocking.
Yes. I don't think Europe likes songs that are R&B, that are heavily R&B used, which is what this one kind of was. It had that 90s R&B kind of vibe to it. It makes me think, I remember watching it and immediately liking it at DMGP, but immediately thinking and being reminded of Show Me Where You Are. And Where I Am, one time. Show Me Where You Are from 2002, which was, Denmark had just won, and then they got second place, and then they go to Tallinn, they have Show Me Where You Are, or Show Me Who You Are, which is, again, a very kind of 90s R&B-ish type sound to it, and got last place and then relegated the following year. And I think I guess it's just a genre that doesn't speak to Europeans. But it's also interesting to see that both songs that had rap in them did pretty well.
Yeah, Hungary still came top 10 with the juries.
Yeah. But I feel like the rap in Hungary song was another tool to get the point across, whereas Romania, it felt more like a gimmick, like, let's have rap and yodeling. But again, Romania gave, as much as I don't like that song, the performance was really strong. The two of them have some pretty good chemistry, and they had so much fun and so much energy. So I think compared to like I love Ireland songs. That was probably my second or third favorite song this year. But the performance and staging were both not great. As much as I dislike Romania, it had good staging, had a great performance, and it qualified. So there you go.
Cool.
It's interesting to see Estonia so low in the juries. Because I know it's one of the most popular ones amongst the fans. But it's interesting to see how low the juries rated that song.
I know, well, they would have qualified with the televote, but the juries quite badly let them down. And it's surprising because juries in previous contests would normally rate that song quite high. But I suppose maybe on the jury night when they were voting, maybe the vocals let them down or something. I don't know. But yeah. So what's the next slide?
Back to us.
Back to us.
For next year.
Yes. So what are you thinking? What are your predictions? I know it's a year away. We don't even know what date it is in May next year. But what are your predictions? Who do you think is going to win?
Well, so a few notes, a few historical markers. So as I would imagine most of our listeners know, but if you don't feel bad. That's why we're here. So Portugal, before yesterday, was the country with the most entries without a win. This is their 49th attempt at Eurovision in their first ever victory. They've held the mantle for most entries for 10, 12 years without a win. 10 to 12, for the last decade or so. And so they finally got that monkey off their back. Because I think when Finland finally won, Portugal became that person. So I guess 10 years from now, Cyprus will win? I don't know. Cyprus, with 34 entries, is now the one with the most participations without a victory. And then after Cyprus is Iceland and Malta. I don't think any of those three countries are going to win next year. Sight unseen. If I had to choose between the three of them, I would say probably Iceland will probably sing the strongest song because they're tired of not qualifying, and so they're going to do something to get back to net again. I think I would not be surprised if a Big Five country won or challenged for the crown next year.
Cool. Well, I am thinking that next year a lot of countries are going to try not replicate the sound, but I hope that they're going to try and look for something a bit more authentic next year, and not the kind of cliched pop like we see from like Romania. Even though it did really well for Romania, but I do think hopefully we'll see a lot more genuine music shining through next year. And I think it also goes to show as well is that no matter what country you are, I mean, you could be even San Marino and you could still send a similar song to Amar Pelos Torres, I think is how you say it, and you could still potentially win the contest. So I think that's a good positive to take away from this year.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, like you say, I hope Iceland will get back in the final next year. They need to bring their A game next year, and Finland for that matter as well.
Finland brought their A game this year.
They did. And they should have. Bit devastating to see they didn't qualify, because again, that's a really good song with some really good musicality. I don't really know why the juries let that one down, to be quite. But anyway, I'm also personally hoping that the UK, like where I'm from, will hopefully send something a bit more better. Maybe we could do the similar things like what. Maybe we could do something similar to what Norway did this year, and just send something that you'd hear on the radio. Like, doesn't have to be like the biggest vocal ambitious song, but just something that is modern, fresh, and see how that does in the contest.
Well, that's the thing. I think they did that last year and this year. I think they finally said it.
Really?
Yeah, both last year and this year, they sent songs that sound like they were radio ready.
I have to disagree. I'm sorry. I don't.
Of course you disagree because you're British, but for those of us who aren't from the UK, we actually like your entries, and so and I could totally see both songs, particularly this one, doing well on the radio in the US.
Yeah, but it won't. No, that's the thing. It won't,
because they don't release it.
That is actually going to be doing something well on the radio. Like, I was thinking the other day, I don't know if you've heard of him, JP Cooper.
Nope.
He's done some good songs over in the UK, like on the radio. I think he did a song called September Song. If we did something similar to that, try to replicate that sound, I think we would do well. But will the BBC listen? Oh, will they heck?
If only one of us had made an article about what the UK could do to help them win. Oh wait, one of us did. Check out my Big Five series on Eurovision Obsession at WordPress.com. When I talked about this last year about analyze each of the Big Five and what they could do to stop sucking. Italy took my advice, which was good to see. France took my advice, which was good to see. Well, they took my advice halfway. To an extent, I feel like the UK did, because they said something that sounded a bit more genuine and was just a bit more natural. And as I said, it sounds radio ready. The first time I heard it, it sounded like it was a radio track to me. Because, and maybe that's an American thing, because like musical-ish type songs were really popular, especially like when Let It Go was all that you could ever hear on the radio. That was very much a thing. So, yeah, I think the UK is on a good path. I think it needs to run down that path boldly. Because, I mean, they got, 15th this year? So,
yeah, which is nothing to knock at, really.
Yeah. A lot better than the 25s they've been getting the last few years. So, I think the UK might be chugging along. They just need to not give up faith. I think in my blog, my live notes, I refer to this song as BBC's love song to Eurovision. Even though things may seem tough, they're not gonna quit. They're gonna keep going at it. And I really do hope that ends up being true because I think the UK could see itself doing well again in the near future. Perhaps next year.
Hopefully, we'll see.
What's your betting odds for Andorra returning next year?
Sorry?
What's your over-under for Andorra returning next year?
Well, Andorra is part of the Iberian Brotherhood. So hopefully we might see Andorra back. I doubt it, but hopefully.
So what is that, like a 2% chance or what?
I don't really know, to be honest, because they've been out of it now since what, 2009, and they have blamed it on financial problems more than anything. But I mean, if there was any part of them that kind of thought, oh well, we're part of the Iberian, you know, we're not going to be able to do well, I think, well, this year's smothered that, to be quite honest. So hopefully they might reconsider and might come back next year. Who knows?
Yeah. I know at one point, apparently San Marino was trying to talk to them about doing like a joint entry or something, and it never went anywhere. But if money is an issue, I think they could team up or something.
Possibly. There's a lot to look forward to.
Yes.
So, I think, have you got anything else to talk about, Andre?
Next year, Lisbon. And stay tuned to the site for more Eurovision coverage. Wrapping up 2017, so the next 7 to 10 days. And then looking ahead and looking back. It's going I love history and I love introducing folks to this contest. So there will be another playlist series this summer, as well as some other things that are in the works.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you enjoyed Eurovision. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
Only 11 and a half months to go.
Only 11 and a half months to go. All right, it's a goodbye from me. Bye.